basically, what I'm looking to do is because last year was about the hardest I've ever trained in my life, and probably the 6 gap ride was about the most fit that I think I can ever be considered the shape I'm in. So the ride that I did was actually like incredible for what was going on. And so Roy, I had the 530. I knew where I was supposed to be, and I actually was with Henry and those guys.
Oh yeah.
And I actually on the climbs I was pulled way ahead easily. I was fine. When I'm descending off of jacks, this started going.
You're back.
And then what happens, I can still ride hard, but what happens is when they go, I lose strength to push hard. So my heart rate was fine, but I didn't have strength even on the descent. When Henry and his group and the lead group came back by on that descent on Jackson, you know how that's a nice smooth one.
Yeah.
I didn't have the power to hook back on, even though my heart rate was not high coming off there. And then so I lost all my time from there to the top of Wolfpen because my hogpen time was 3 minutes slower, and my Wolfpen time was 3 or 4 minutes slower. And then so once I got to the top of Wolfpen and went in, I started feeling a little bit better, and then I rode faster from that point in. So I know I could ride with the lead group, but I don't know if I could ride long enough with them, drafting with them, to get the 530. So the 530, the 540, I'm not concerned about time too much. I'm concerned about, I want to get under 6. Anything else under that is gravy. But I think that if I probably should have toned, not maybe start off that hard, even though I felt like I could because that's how we trained.
Right.
And I felt good, and I was there. But then once this goes, I'm not there anymore. And then when my back went, my legs cramp because I'm asking this leg to do way too much, and only my left leg cramped.
Only one side cramp?
Because that's my weakest one. And so I'm asking it to do too much because I lost 3 pounds on the ride. That's all I lost.
Oh, really?
I only lost 3 pounds. I got off the bike, my back hurt, my legs hurt, but I felt fine, I was good. And then so what I'm thinking as far as my training.
So you only lost 3 pounds over 6 hours. So I mean that's obviously the cramping issues.
I was at my
is a muscle thing.
My eating, drinking was spot on. I carried that pack on my bike. I had to stop at the cabin, and then I did a quick loaded back up at the top of Hogpen. And then once I got off there, I got to the top of Wolfpen, and I still had a full bottle left because I did 2 at the top of Hogpen.
Right.
And then 2 full ones, and then I actually once I got off of Woody's, and I knew I had from Woody's I hit 88 miles, so now I got 14, 15 miles left.
Right.
I had a full bottle. I dumped half of it and went in, and then once I knew I was 4 or 5 miles out, I just dumped the rest, and then I was in from Woody's on in. I rode really strong. It's when from the Unicoi to the top of Hogpen, when I have to grind, is when it was killing me. But aerobically and fit wise and training wise, I felt great. So I have to deal with this, and so I don't know if I got to focus on cadence because I can't grind.
Where during the training program did your hips hurt you then, or your back? I mean.
Oh, it always hurts.
It always hurts. So it's always there.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I think you do some corrective exercises and stuff like that
Every day.
right? Yeah. So you're doing corrective exercises. You're doing strength stuff to strengthen that area. So, other than actual body work where you have somebody giving you some stuff to do, like rolling and things like that, very specific for you. So that's one thing that you could attack. But you would want to get something that's very specific to you. So like one thing that I know works, that I've seen people, is going to Rolfing, and I'm biased because my wife's a Rolfer and her dad, but like what they're able to do is they're able to kind of look at you, look at your asymmetries left and right, do some feeling around, for the lack of a better term, kind of feeling things out and saying, hey, this is tight, needs to look like this needs to act like this, and then they can give you some things to do, and they can actually manipulate it. So they've actually changed structure, where like a chiropractor, they're going to kind of do an adjustment. They're going to adjust your bones or your hips. Like if your hips are off, maybe they move them and adjust them, and eventually they're, chiropractors are the bone doctors. Some attack it in different ways, but when you move a bone in a correct way, like you align it, but there's soft tissue attached to that, like muscles and ligaments, tendons, things like that. So those things will pull. Like if you have a tight muscle, or you have fascia that is built up and made that area tight, it's going to, even though you move that bone, in the correct alignment, it's going to pull itself out. Right. That's why it's always temporary. You're like, oh yeah, this is probably will hold for like a little while, and then it goes back, and it keeps going back. You have like a shifting in your hips or whatever. So what you want to do, the long-term solution on that is, you're doing some of it, body work, like stretching, Pilates, foam rolling, but targeted specifically for you, not just like a shotgun approach. So having someone look at that, saying, hey, this is what's going on, this is what we need to correct, and then having a target. Like when you go in every time, if you had a body work person working on you, chiropractor or massage, whatever, and do you have a target? No, they're just coming in, fixing it, and telling you go away, and you pay your money and you're done. But if you have a target, like, hey, we need you to work on the psoas, because that psoas on one side is tighter, it's shifting your hips, which is causing that discomfort. There's a way to, I don't want to say fix it, there's a way to make it better, to mitigate the damage. And what that solution is somebody who's qualified to do that, like look at you and say, so the modalities out there are massage, they're just massaging, right? It's good, it's making it's good for recovery, it's flushing out some of the bad stuff, bringing in the good stuff, loosening the muscle up, but it's not correcting. Chiropractic's adjusting, okay? Works for some people, maybe they get that adjustment, they get some relief, swelling goes down, pain goes away, and then eventually, hopefully that fixes itself. But a long-term solution is changing the structure, and Rolfing is what does that. Rolfing is a modality, it's under massage, where they're changing structure. Right. So that way it's aligned in a proper way. Now there's wrong and right, just like in any profession. So that's one thing I would look at, because I think that, cadence, we can mess with cadence, we can mess with all of this stuff, and we can make you more fit, but if your back keeps giving out, I don't know if there's a cadence out there that's going to fix that for you to get to the goal. So we have to fix the body in the best way we can, and we have to get some solutions, because if you do the same thing as you've been doing, you're probably going to get the same result, right? Like maybe it gets a little better. So I would take an approach of finding somebody who maybe can look at you a little bit, give you some insight, maybe
well, I know exactly what's wrong. I've had scans done and all that. Well, so I have 2 blown disc,
right,
and spinal stenosis.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this, a lot of people have spinal stenosis, a lot of people have the disc degenerative diseases and things like this. So you're not going to have a surgery, in the next year.
Well,
so.
That was they recommended it after I got hit by the car.
Yeah.
The one doctor told me that I'm not going to ride the bike again, and so I just left him.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then so they said surgery. I said, well, no one's cutting my back open.
there you go. They always go to the fucking extremes. They go, you're never gonna do it again, or we gotta cut you open.
So I gave up on looking at doctors because you get the same thing. They're gonna stick a needle in your back. They're gonna want to cut you open.
Yeah.
So I feel like I know my body more than they do.
Yes.
And I've been to chiropractor. Yes, he makes I feel good, but it's temporary.
Right.
I've had the massage. I had all that.
Yeah.
And I've gotten into my own routine where I feel that I know my body better than they do.
So here's my tip to you. I'm biased, but I know it works. So I can't remember. Is my father-in-law? Did they get a table with you?
Not that I know of yet.
They went online and set something up for next Friday.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if they're with you. I told them that.
I'll look out for the name.
So see if it's on there. Get them.
Okay. And then talk.
And talk to him.
Okay.
And get him to give you a session.
Okay.
And first off, there's no one better.
So Rolfing is a different type of massage?
Yeah, so it's not necessarily massage, it's corrective.
Oh,
so
okay.
massage is, so the people get the modalities a little mixed up because it is confusing. It's corrective in the sense that they're changing, it's a different modality than you've tried, right? It's something that is no surgery, 9 times out of 10 people get relief.
And it deals with that type of...
Yes. I mean, he has specifically worked on professional athletes, from football players to baseball players to endurance athletes at Kona. He actually has a place in Hawaii because he worked on athletes during Ironman.
Oh, wow.
It is performance enhancing in the sense that you do see benefits. I mean, I am very skeptical. I wasn't a believer until, I don't get Rolfing a lot now. I just don't. I can't get in, but it works. If you find the right person. Now he's been doing it for 40 years. He's like one of the best. The thing that's tough with it is it's time consuming. It takes 90 minutes, and it's a little expensive. So those are barriers to entry for everybody to do that. Massage is like $40-$50. Chiropractic adjustment sometimes is under healthcare. This is on your own, but you can physically see the differences. Like somebody will come in and their hips will be off, and they'll show you. Hey, your
I know mine are off.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, without anything, they come back into an alignment, and they're not moving your bones. They're just they're working on the fascia of the body in a way that it releases it, and then all of a sudden, it'll even out. Now, it can be done in one session, or it could take 5 sessions. Yeah. Everyone's different. Once that correction is made, then it's up to you to do the homework, which I know you would do. So I would use that card. I mean, if he's perfect person, whether he can get you in or not, maybe not. I know Becca can, but in one session then is, I think that would be massive for you. And I know
it's something I haven't tried, and if there's,
I'll get you. If you don't get something, see how that dinner goes. I think it's next Friday, but if that, I'll get you in with Becca. And we'll take care of it. You've always taken care of us, so we'll take care of you. Because I want at least to give us an hour and a half of like what's going on with you. Like, are you, where's the tightness? Where the issues are? Is it something we can adjust your fitting? Maybe it's a fit thing that we could adjust your bike fit.
I'm always tweaking my bike according to how. Some days I feel like I'm stretched out more. I feel better, so I can get more. Right. Some days I'm not. So like one day, like I'll push it up, push it back. I'm always, from when you fit me last time, it's probably like just all jacked up.
Well, that's the other thing too. I don't want to say it's all fit related because you do have obviously an issue, a health issue. It's not something that a bike fitter, we're not bike fitting. Basically, we are fitting you to the bike. We're taking your body where it's at today and putting you in that position we think is healthy. A bike fit's not going to correct your body issues. Now, can a bad bike fit exacerbate it? Yeah, it can make it worse. But I would start with that. That's what, if the back's always, I know, been lingering. Because in all honesty, to be honest with you, I've coached probably about 6 people for this 6 gap, and a few of them went under 6 hours, like 5:40, 5:30. And I know you're stronger than them. And you're stronger and more fit than they are. And so for you to go under the 6 is a very easy goal. It's a realistic target. If you're like, hey, I want to end with, I want to win 6 gap, I want to be the leader, I'd probably say that's not going to happen. Like, I'm going to be realistic, but I don't want to give you a pipe dream on that, but I want to set you up for realistic expectations that I think, one, yes, 100% believe that you could go and do 5:30, 5:40. I mean, that's really what I believe you can do.
This is what I did from when we started in the beginning. So that was my goal, and then these are the things that I wrote when I started, when I wanted to start training, all the targets, and then I checked off the ones that I did.
I like it, black and white.
I didn't hit 135.40. That.
What did you weigh in?
I wound up weighing in at 145.
Okay.
Which I felt good.
That's definitely not the 5 pounds. It wasn't the reason why. So
right, yeah. And then faster startup kneels. I flew up kneels. That's where I lost it. I did not. I lost time from the year before. I increased my power to weight ratio from the previous year, and then faster from Woody's to finish. I was a lot faster from 86 to 103, and then.
So the last 17 miles you went faster.
Oh, I was flying.
Yeah, and that's fatigue resistance. That's meaning like you had the fitness in the bank to be able to get through 86 miles of hard miles and then still go fast for the last 17. So that's the fatigue resistance or the fitness. The breakdown obviously was the back.
And then so I've been thinking about the power meter, but I wanted to run this by you because one day this leg is good, one day that. If this is so inconsistent, would a power meter?
Doesn't matter. So a power, that doesn't matter for what we want to use it for. For what we want it, the purpose that we want to use that power meter for is to track your progression. Because right now, I mean, so much so that if you don't get one, I'm going to buy you one and pull one on your fucking bike. But I believe that if we get this under manageable, because it's never going to go away, but if I believe so much so that a power meter will get you to your goal, that I would buy one and put one on your bike. That's how important it is for the next season. Like if you really think you're at a point where everybody that I coach that, and I'm not this adamant about it to most people. I'm just say, hey, we can go with the flow. But I see how you train, right? Like you're very methodical. You're very boom, boom, boom. You have a goal and you want to achieve it, and we need a way to quantify it, because I can't quantify heart rate for you, because once your heart rate, let's say your heart rate for argument's sake starts at 160 for threshold, you do your endurance rides or 150, and then all of a sudden we see an increase in fitness level and it goes to 155, right? Well, your heart rate's getting better because you're getting fitter. Your body, that's a physiological effect. Your body's getting fitter, so the heart rate starts to lower, right? And so forth and so on. But we can't really track what's going on power-wise. All right? Now we bring you in here and we bring you in and we put you through some testing and all. But that's every 8 to 12 weeks we're doing that test. What I want to do is quantify your workouts on a day-to-day basis when you're doing it for a couple reasons. One, I want to track the training stress you're putting your body under. Are we overloading your system? Based on power, not a heart rate number. And then also give you targets. I want you to have targets, because if I say, hey man, because I see you doing it in here when we were doing the power testing, but if I say, I need you to ride 200 watts for 3 hours,
right,
and then you ride it for 2 hours and 20 minutes, then we found a cracking point, and now we need to hammer that. Not saying, now we need to adjust our training where I'm going to say, okay man, I'll give you a direct example. I have a lady's getting ready to race this weekend in a national championship. We started out at 20 or 30 miles. Her riding 20, 30 miles on a time trial bike at an intensity level of 0.93 or something, so 93% of her threshold for 15 miles, or 20 miles. And the first time she did it, she couldn't do it. So then we went back and we worked on it, she did it. Then we have progressed at the 30 miles. Then we progressed at the 40 miles. We just did 50 miles, and she did at 96% of her threshold for 50 miles, which is 2 hours, which means she's getting that strength. And so now This week, her event is 56 miles. So now we just,
Right.
we tailor that. So that's what we need here, because now we can tailor your training specifically to you, to the durations that work for you, the loads that are good for you. We can check in when you're overstressing the system, when you're understressing the system, giving yourself enough load. And then for the race itself or the event, like that is going to be like, in the beginning you said I went a little too hard. Okay, you went a little too hard based on speed. Heart rate could have been a little higher because, you're anxious, you're pumped up, your adrenaline's pumping. But power is power. It doesn't give a damn about how you feel. It cares about how you push on the pedals. Now, if one day you're left and the right or off balance or whatever, all we care about is that net effect. So that net number might be a little lower, a little higher based on, how your body is accepting the training, the back and all of that, which is good, because if I set a target, for example, and I say, hey man, I need you to ride for an hour and a half at tempo, and you miss it completely, I'm going to see it right away. And then I'm going to message you, and you're going to be like, my back is hurting. And then we're going to back off for a little bit, do a little bit other work, and then come back at it to see if your back is. But if we keep just progressing along, because you're a grinder, which means like if I tell you to do 150 heart rate, you're going to do it because you're going to kill yourself to do it. But power, you won't be able to. Power is going to, it's an absolute. So
I got to get that.
Yeah, man. And here's the other reason I'm adamant about it. It's not that expensive. And they used to be really expensive.
I know which one I want. I know which one I want to get.
And it doesn't have to be fancy. It just needs to read us, and it has to have a strain gauge, meaning it has to be like stages, a Garmin pedals, power tap wheel, whatever you want, and get that and start tracking it. And the other thing I think where I would like to have had for last season, because we started back in Christmas time or something, is that period of time after 6 gap that you were riding around at long, slow, and steady in the small ring and all of that. I would like for that to have been captured to look back on, because when we can look back on the power data, then we can improve your training. I would say my biggest recommendations are get your back checked out. Let's get that taken care of. Get the power meter so we have that telemetry. And the third thing is, don't do a lot of miles in the off season this time.
No, I'm not.
Because you don't need it. You have so much fitness, but what we need you to do is come out the gates fresh, mentally, physically, and ready to go. Ride your bike to ride your bike. How much time do you need? I don't know. That's always dependent on you. I can tell you this, the longer ramp up, the less per week you need. So like if you're like, hey man, I have a busy year, my sons and work and all this, and then you only need 5 workouts a week or 4 workouts a week.
That was another thing that I was, I wrote it down right here. So, right here. So that's what I was thinking, because I did a lot last year, and I'm not sure. I mean, I like doing it. I like training like that because it keeps me busy. But I was thinking like back doing more easy longer, and then throwing a hard one in every now and then. So like I had San An every 7 to 10 days, and then I had doing like a long, like a big ride. Say like.
This is this current, like now?
That's just what I've been thinking about.
Overall.
Yeah, for right now.
For right now, I got you.
Yeah, and then, getting group work, do more group rides. So this is from now until, I get things figured out. And then, so I've been going out like every 2 or 3 days and doing like 2.5, 3 hours, but keeping it like zone 2. And then when I feel good, I'll just go ahead and not look at anything and just ride.
Yes.
Like kind of hard, and then just gonna have fun with it.
That's right.
But
I like the group ride. I like getting back with some social stuff, doing maybe Horrible or Hilly 100.
I'm definitely doing that.
Things that are I would have a sense of fun and purpose, but get that power meter so you can see it.
But this was my original goal right here. That's what I want.
540? Is that what you're saying?
I want 540. I want 135 to 40 pounds. I know that's light. I don't need to get it low, but that's what I wrote. That's what I want. And then I get the power meter. That's it. But that is what I want from what I wrote down at the beginning of the training last year. So I definitely have to get the power meter.
So one thing that we saw is in the last month or 6 weeks, we started to see maybe a little drop off. You know,
The last test was horrible.
Yeah, we saw a little drop off, and that's the other thing. So this is where people mess up because they pin everything on a single test, and so that mentally could get to you. But also, like when you have a power meter, it's a cumulative effect of all of your data. Like every pedal stroke is counted for, and it doesn't mean that in this time, the next couple months here that you're working in this time, doesn't mean you have to be a zombie to the computer. It just means you want to record it.
All right.
Record the data, look at it, upload it, and then if you have questions, you can just say, hey, Roy, can you pop in and tell me where I'm at on my stress levels or training load or whatever. You have to think about this, that in this time now, you want to freshen your body and have fun with it. You want to stay fit so that way when you go, hey, I want to start training, I'm going to start training, I want to do 9 months or 8 months or 7 months, whatever it is of the focus training. When you get to that point, you want to be able to, you don't want to be burnt at that point. You want to be like, all right, here we go. Then at that point, we want to be able to start giving you the least amount of work that gives you adaptation, the least amount. I know I could give you 15-hour weeks every week, and you mentally would do it because that's how you are, but I also know that physically you would break down.
Right, I would.
Yes. So what we wanted to do is I want to be able to, I want to make it a little more scientific on my part by giving you better training that is more efficient because you work, you have kids, you have a family, you have a limited budget. So if we have that power meter, then instead of going, I think he needs 6 hours this week, I can go, no, I know 100% he needs 5 hours and that's all he needs. And
I think where I messed up last year, not that I messed up, because I love training that much.
Yeah.
Because it gets me up in the morning, it keeps me going. But when I should have told you maybe I need to back off, I get stubborn.
Yes.
And I'm like, you know what? I'm not, there ain't no way I'm not doing this workout. I'm knocking this out.
Right.
And then I pay the price.
Yes.
2-3 weeks later.
Yes. So here, that's a very defining point. So think about it. Think about endurance sports like this. We're filling a bucket with stress, right? And we're just filling that bucket. And when that bucket overflows, we need recovery. You can fill that bucket over a long period of time, like 3-4 weeks, which is the progression, or you can fill up that bucket in one day. Once you fill that bucket and it overflows, you got to recover. Now, I personally like to slowly fill the bucket as giving the body a little bit of stress over 21, 28 days. Then as it spills over, recover, then the bucket, drains, and then we can refill it. Now, why it's draining or why the bucket is, why you're drowning in TSS, training stress, that's when you recover and get better. Now, what some people like to do is fill that bucket up, it overflows, and then your next 5 or 6, 7 training sessions are garbage because you overflowed the bucket and your body is not ready for that yet.
And I need more time.
Yeah.
Because of the inflammation. When I think that I'm ready to go, I'm not. And this is what I also have in my mind, that for ever since when I got hit, and that was like 3 or 4 years ago. Every doctor I go to, everybody that I went to, and I stopped going to them, like, this is as good as you're going to get. You're not going to be able to ride. So I feel like at 51 and the way my back is, I don't know how much longer I can ride like this.
Sure.
So when I was training last year, I'm like, you know what? This might be my last shot.
Right.
And then so I go overboard when I should be recovering, because I'm like, I don't know if I'm ever going to get under 6. Older because I get older, my back gets worse. So I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to get it. And if I don't, I'm okay with that.
Right.
I want to go up there knowing that for what I did, this is the best, because if I put and every time when I got done, the first thing I did was write down like how I felt, and I do this all the time. Like I wrote that I couldn't. There's no way. I wrote that I could not have written any harder than what I did.
Right.
For what was going on with me, and then when I felt good, I was flying. But when I felt bad,
when your body
I was like, dude, I had people passing me, and I wanted to get off my bike and throw it.
Right.
Because I'm like, there ain't no way that dude is
Right.
climbing a pog pin faster than me.
Right.
And this one guy passed me. I'm telling Roy, I got so mad. I was gonna pull over and just dump my. I was so mad because I knew I didn't even have to look at my time. I knew I was going to start pog pin. I knew what time I was going to get a pog pin.
Sure.
Because I've done it so many times and it didn't feel right.
Right.
And then when I went up wolf pin, a little better. But when I saw you that one day before,
Yeah.
dude, I flew up.
I know.
Wolf.
Yeah.
Flew.
Yeah.
I didn't even try. And so when I went up that time, I was getting mad because I'm like, man, I am losing time, and it's pissing me off.
So
So
there's a couple things in that I just want to touch on. One is like, I'm going to go harp on this power meter thing. The power meter coming into that would tell us like how much stress that you would need the days before versus just going on feel and going on heart rate. Also, it acts as a governor because when you feel good, you go a little harder. So maybe we added 10% too much stress those days before, which weakens that. Who knows? But the power meter's definite. It tells us that too. The one thing that I know of you is you're strong-minded, strong-willed. And so you had to been hurting to have some of those negative thoughts in your head, like, hey, you're focusing on outside things that you can't control, like someone else climbing and these people passing you. These are things that are outside of your control, which then worsens how you feel and worsens your performance. So it's good to internalize and compartmentalize yourself. Like, what am I doing in the moment, and staying in that moment, because going that event, that 540, that 530, or having that ride of your life is always based on what you're doing in the moment and not what someone else is doing. And then when you let those things enter in, you're already defeated, and then you're going backwards. The other thing is like the age thing. It doesn't matter how fucking old you are, man. What it's all going to come down to is the desire. Like, desire. If you have the desire to do it, it'll drive you, which you do. You have desire. It's driving you to accomplish this. A person who's 60 years old can get up it and do that course.
Well, the guy with the fastest time was 54.
There you go. So it's all about desire. It's not anything to do. Now, your body's going to limit you, right? Like if we don't get the back thing taken care of, or if you didn't have the genetics, some people just don't. Like I have people that no matter what we do, their genetics aren't letting them get to that threshold level they need to do a good time. But the expectations are set. Like, I'm going to give you a realistic expectation. If I thought you didn't have the genetic potential, or you didn't have the work ethic or the time or the ability, I would say, yeah, this is a pipe dream. It's part of, kind of, yeah, people are like, well, anybody can do everything. No, fucking not everybody can do everything. You're not running, you can't beat an Olympic champion in the 100 meters. Sorry.
Right.
I don't care what you do, you're never going to do it. But this is a realistic goal. It is a high level goal because it's 530 or 540. That's a high level goal. Now, how long is that desire going to be there? That's up to you. So the desire creates the drive to do it. Now, you may wake up at the end of the holidays, come January, and go, you know what? It's not important to me anymore. That desire goes away. So it's all about desire. It's nothing about fucking motivation. It's nothing about age. It has nothing to do with anything. It always has to do with desire. Because if you desire, you know this, because I've spoken with you several times, man. If you have a desire for something, you'll make it happen. Like if you desire like this nice watch, somehow you get it, right? Like, or you desire to to do your job that you do every day because you want to provide for your family. You do it every day, not because you love it. Like I'm sure you would rather work riding a bike every day. You know, that would be your job, but you know that's not going to pay anything. So your desire is to provide for your family, to be a good dad, to be a good example for them, to show them you going after something. So it's always about the desire. So if you go back and you're like, I don't have I talk to people every day and they're like, I don't have motivation, or I'm like, it's because you don't have desire. Where do you desire? What do you want to do? What's your purpose? And for you, you know, it's this event, this one event that you want to conquer, and that next year, when you conquer it, then that may fulfill that desire, and then you go on to doing whatever you want to do. Or this thing has beaten you 2 years in a row, right? Because it has, black and white, it's beaten you. You haven't got to where you want to go, so it has beaten you. And so some people, when they get beaten, they lose their desire. Some people, when they get beaten, they go after it. I know how I am. When I get beaten, I get more desire. Others, they pack their bags and go home. So it has to be realistic. I think the goal is realistic. I think we have to change. You always have to change the approach. Because if we keep doing that, if we do the same thing as you did last year, if we do the exact same, we copy this, which is,
it'd be the same thing.
You're going to get the same result.
Well, yep. Nothing changes if nothing changes.
Mm-hmm.
I have the desire. I'm gonna do it. I don't know when I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I'm not sure like if like sometimes like the journey or figuring out a way to do it is the fun part.
Right.
Even though like I got mad on the ride, and even though like I didn't get the time I want, I still love to get up and ride my bike. I love doing this. This is what I like. This is what I like to do.
The process.
So I like the process. So did I get it this year? No. Am I gonna get it? Yeah. I don't know when, but I'm gonna keep changing and keep coming to you until we get it. And then when I get it, I'm probably gonna want more, or stay there until I fall off my bike.
Right. You might change that desire to something else. It could be hey, I conquered this. I want to do this.
I'm telling you, after I did the ride, and then I looked at my schedule I was going to skip Horrible 100, and I was going to have my wife drive me back up to 6 Gap. I'm telling you, if I go, I wouldn't get 5:30, but I'm telling you, if I went up right now, I would get under 6.
Oh, there's no doubt in my mind that you could ride that under 6. Yeah,
I can get it right now. So my goal now is, I'm gonna go up when I go up on my Father's Day trip. I go up there for 3 or 4 days in June.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's what I'm doing. I'm gonna go under 6 then, and then when I go back up in 6 Gap, then it's gonna be even better. So when I go up in June, I don't know what it is, but it's gonna be under 6, and then from there, it's gonna be better.
And so that's, again, it's like I'm a power meter salesman, but having the power meter for that is so invaluable, man. Like you could. I'll go get one right away. I mean, I can't stress for you. Other people, my conversation's always different with them, but for you, it all is going to rely, and it's also going to be such a motivator for you because you get motivated by those. Well,
carrots. This is going to be a waste if I don't go get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm putting the work into this, and I'm leaving out the one thing. Look, I even wrote, I have to get it 3 exclamation points, and I didn't get it.
The first thing I told you when you were done.
I know.
There are people who come through this door who do coaching, and 90% of them probably don't need a power meter because they aren't as meticulous. They aren't as on top of their training as you are. And then the others, that 10% or 20% need it. Like, they have to have it. Now, The people I coach, 90% have one.
Right.
Because it makes sense for them.
Well, every time we go on the group rides, everybody's
talking about power.
Everybody's. That's all I hear.
Yes, power.
And then when it doesn't work, they get mad.
Yeah, that's the thing. So that's a good point to bring up, because like they get mad because their Garmin doesn't work, or Strava's not working, or TSS or whatever. I think that's a little bit crazy with it. You just want to record the data. It's a recording device.
Right.
Still enjoy the ride. Like don't go overboard with it. Let me do the overboard. That's why you pay someone.
Right.
Is to take that stress away. And then you wake up every day and you go, all right, he wants me to do this, this, and this. Now you have an added reassurance that what you're doing in this, and this is specifically based on you and your power, your abilities, versus heart rate. Because that, in my mind, that's like everybody's running around power meters these days. They don't know what they're doing with them. It has taken me, as a profession, doing this 10 years, and 5 years before that, so 15 years of using a power meter, 14 years of using a power meter in training, and I still learned every day about it. So somebody gets it today, it's so overwhelming. There's so much there. And so that's the thing. Get the power meter,
right.
Record the data, get that going, and then you'll pick up on little things. But what happens is like people start to compare things. They compare, like, you're going to hear training stress, and then they're going to compare your stress to mine. Like I'm going to go, oh, I did 300, and you're going to say I did 200, and you're going to think, oh, I didn't have a good ride. No, I could be less fit, which is going to give me more TSS. You're more fit, you're going to get less, and it's harder. It gets harder. As you get more fit, it gets harder. So, that's the thing is like, it's a good device to have. It's something that's going to help you get to this pretty big goal. I mean, I have people that come and they just like, I want to finish. I want to finish. Like that's you since day one. You've never. I remember, was it almost 3 years ago or 4 years ago when we first sat down in Winthrop, and you sat there with your book. It's probably the same book with your notes, and even then you were driven. But you weren't really like tracking it. You were writing it. You weren't tracking. Then all of a sudden you brought me a board, and then we start to track it with Training Peaks, and we start to do a little structure and heart rate and all that. And now you're at a level where I think a power meter is going to accelerate your growth. It's funny because you're 4 or 5 years into this. 2 years into like really structuring it. You could. Realistically, you can be up with some of the lead packs, and I think a power meter will do that, because again, when you're climbing that climb and you're at 300 watts and hey, I can only sustain 270, you back it off, and that'll keep that protected.
Well, and especially if I'm sitting at 140 pounds.
Yeah. Oh man, 140 pounds. In the mountains, every pound counts.
Yeah.
I mean, out here where we ride, it's good to be a little heavier, but in that area, every pound counts.
Yeah, and I don't care around here.
Yeah.
I don't even care. The only thing I care about, because I take all my trips, 3 or 4 trips here up to the mountains, all I care about is climbing. That's all I care about. Mm-hmm. All right, so I'm gonna get a power meter.
Yeah, man, I would get the power meter. See if you got Ron there.
Should I get refit again, or just get the power meter and see what happens from there?
Let's get the power meter going. Let's get you seen either by my wife or by Ron. See, like when you meet, see if you have him for dinner or whatever, and just kind of. I'll grease that. I'll say, hey, can you talk to him a little bit about that?
Oh, I'm gonna have a problem drop.
Yeah. So hopefully he comes in there and that'll help. They were gonna ask you because they wanted to go early, so it's next week. We were gonna come, but I just can't do it because Bruno gets married on Thursday. Yeah, he's getting married on Thursday, and then they're going to Burns on Friday. It's just too much,
right?
Going on. But see if that doesn't pan out in the next 2 weeks, then let's have you come in, and I'll work it for you to come in and see Becca. Because the thing is, she's going to give great insight into what you need.
Right.
And is she going to be able to fix it? Maybe. But I can tell you, she's really good. I mean, it's not a smoke.
Anything.
I just
even
think
when I go in for like a massage, like when I got 2 massages before a 6 gap. Whenever I
Yeah.
do anything like that,
yeah.
I always feel better.
You do. So it's a temporary. It's a recovery. Massage is great, and that's why they do massages after all the tour stages and all. Rolfing is a little bit more invasive. So that's something that is not really a recovery thing. You're
Right.
actually changing the structure or manipulating it. And so that's something. It's totally different way of doing it. So yeah, I would look into that because that may help the back out. It may not. Again, you have an acute condition where you have some bulging, stenosis. That's not going to be changed, but there's some things in there that they can help you out with.
I've been dealing with it for so long that even though like for people like you that have back problems,
Yeah.
we get so used to it. So what I consider as like annoying pain
Right.
would like almost like cripple some people.
Right.
Like it's been with me for so long, it just annoys me.
Yeah, I have. I was riding this week and my back. I have it. Same thing. My back hurts. I have the same thing. Bulge, all that good stuff. Car accident. And I felt my back hurting this week, and so my power was not as good. The ride wasn't as good. But the thing is, that's when I know, like, as I get older, as we get older, we got to do some things that, I'm drinking some water. I'm horrible with my water maintenance, so you got to be on top of that. Yeah, I got to be on top of a stretching routine. I haven't done it. I need to do it. If you are very diligent, so the next thing is we need to pinpoint. Like, people just stretching the stretch is like, yeah, that's good, but what do you need to work on? Is it the psoas? Is it a hip flexor? Is it an abductor? Is it this leg is imbalanced on that one? Like, she can tell that. She can say, hey, you're loading this leg. You need to own. And he's like the Dalai Lama. So like, he's like, he's been doing it for 40 years as a profession. He works on 5 people a day, every day.
Wow.
He's 74 years old and the guy's still doing it. So what I would say is there's no one better on the earth, all right, to see that is going to give you like a legitimate true answer. And he doesn't give he doesn't give a fuck about money. Like, he's got a line out the door.
Right.
He doesn't need, another person. He also doesn't need like someone to stroke his ego. And
Right.
Becca's like that too, because she doesn't. Like, she's booked as well because of that. So they're in a position where they can just say, hey man, this is what you need to do it. And I like it because you would. Normally I don't refer people. It's not something I like to do, but when I do, it's because I think it could really help that person. So, Alan, I think you've been on some rides with Alan. He's 70 something years old.
Yeah.
He goes all the time, and man, when he's hurting, he gets help. And he's producing at a pretty high level. For his age, he's killing it, man. Like, I have a couple triathletes. They beat up their bodies. She takes care of it. So those are some things. I mean, I would definitely look into it, at least to get better insight to what's going on. Because disc bulge, power meter that, and then you just tell me when you want to get the party started, man. Since like 6 gap is a thing that, like this year as a coaching group for what I'm going to do, a couple things. We are focusing on those type of events like Grand Fondos and things. So we're going to focus on, I haven't done this in the past. We're going to do some racing, but more focus I'm going to put on to do, like, we're going to do the Texas Grand Fondo Hincapie. It's 80 miles, but I'm going to take a group of guys, 4 or 5 guys.
See, that's what I want to do too, is like, I want to do the San Ann Grand Fondo.
Yeah.
I want to do the Dragon Tail ride.
Yeah.
I want that to be part of the training too. Maybe like get into a couple road races around here, like the Winter Haven one, whatever, and get in, and then just use that, also.
Yeah, so you
instead of just going out of my neighborhood and just like knocking out miles.
Well, that's
miles
what you should do. You should have intermediate things like San Ann Grand Fondo. I'm going to do there's a Georgia Grand Fondo. There's a Hincapie one. Things that fit in around your schedule that you can do. And I don't want to say we're going to race them, but we're going to ride them hard.
Right.
In a sense, we're going to say, hey guys, there's 4 of us, 4 Aeropro guys, and let's work together. And let's, hey, when one of us is suffering, we'll pull a little bit longer. if you know, as the group around us is attacking us, we'll help bring it back. Kind of work into it like, and at the end, you know, hopefully we'll be with the leaders and so that it's a race but not a race type of thing, but as a team versus like just as individuals out there trying to finish the Horrible 100 or the Grand Fondos or this. Also not overloaded. Like I'm going to do Horrible 100, but I'm only doing 70.
I never dwell. I did the 100 a few times, and I hate that 20 to 25 mile nothingness. I can't. That's why I don't do that. I can't stand that. Man. Yeah.
I like the 70.
Hit all the hills.
Hit all the hills, and you're done. And you're done in 3.5. We did 3.5 hours. We averaged 21 miles an hour. So I want to do it. I want to do it, you know, in a pretty. That's kind of like I'm training. Horrible 100. Training.
Right.
Hilly 100.
Right.
Training. Boom. And then so we're going to include some of those events along the way. So I'm revamping some ways that we do communication because I know a lot of people are on social media, but I know a lot of people aren't. So I'm redoing my website, and then I'm also redoing an emailer. Actually, as soon as this is over, I have my assistant. She'll be here in a minute. She's coming in, and she's going to do an email campaign. So that way, every week, you're going to get an email from Aeropro about what we're doing, what we have going on, what we're offering, what events we're targeting. Because sometimes you're out on an island, because if you're not on social media, you're not seeing the Facebook, the Instagram, the blah, blah, blah. Right. And that's fine. I don't care where people, I want to go to where their attention is. And, you know, we have your email and we use that. Because, all right, so an example, like we're doing a ride this Saturday on the Sun Coast. And the reason I choose the Sun Coast is because it's easy. No one has to, I don't have to think about it. We can ride at a steady endurance pace on the way out, and on the way back we jam it pretty hard. So we're doing 3 hours. So we're going to put that out. We're going to do some rides in Fishhawk. We're going to do some rides in St. Anne. And I want you to be able to, you know, see that stuff coming down the road versus, you know, a last minute text or something.
So this is what I want to ask you. I'm probably going to start with the holidays coming with the 3 boys because the soccer schedule kills me. Mm-hmm. So after, like, when I started last year in February, but I want to start like right in January, like right in the new year. Mm-hmm. But I want to get on group rides with you guys, and then I would also like, I don't know, I still wanted, like have my own, like, I guess account on the what were we doing?
Oh, Zwift.
The Zwift, like with my weight and my stuff, and then every now and pop in and do that.
Yeah, so you want to come in and do like we did last year.
Yeah. And I want to do like, you know, pick a climb, just come in for fun and do like a climb, and then and so is there like a program that is that relaxed as far as working out and still keeping in touch with you and using that? You know, not like because we had like the customer working every day, so but I want to be somewhat structured with you now, but not start hitting hard till January. So
I see what you're saying. I got you. So now, so in the month of, we'll just say November, December, January, we'll say something that has
structure,
some structure, a little bit lighter.
That, because I'm so busy, maybe I'm like 2 or 3 days a week, and then the other days, if I get out, I just go on my own and just ride, have fun. But then if there's a group ride, I can come in. If there's like, I say, hey, can I come in and hop on that? And then I'll get my power meter, and then once we got all that, we hit it hard like we did in January, February. But until that, like...
So do you want to? Were you thinking coming in every 3 or 4 weeks, or once a week? What were you thinking?
I was thinking like every every other week or something like that.
Okay, so getting on there and doing something in the morning.
Yeah, just like some just for something fun to do. Like.
And what time do you envision that?
Like now, as I drop my when I have to take my kid to school, I drop them off at 8:15. And then there's a lot of traffic, so like around this time.
Okay, so around 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to put some notes in here. Yeah, man, I have some programs that I think would work for that. I have an off-season program that is just basically, I don't say it's generic. I've built it up really using people like you, where they've had seasons, and I looked at what workouts and what progressions worked, and I put it in there. So it'll say ride for 90 minutes. Inside of that, do this, this, and this, and it'll have ranges, and you can scale it.
Right.
And that gives you some what you should be doing during this time.
Because I still feel like I'm at my peak. I still feel like
we don't want you.
I feel really good. I don't want to lose that.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to leave it up to me.
Yeah.
So that's why I need something like to fill in the gap.
Yeah.
But not as hard as we were doing.
Yeah, so you want to lose fitness. I mean, I don't want to say you want to lose fitness. You want to lose that sense of being strong and fit. You want to lose that because if you don't, it'll be bad. So you want to lose fitness.
Because I went out riding yesterday for like 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And man, I felt great.
Yeah.
I felt like I was riding like. I didn't even have anything turned on. I was just riding, but I know. And then when I'm in the drops, my back feels good, and so I get in the drops and I stay in the drops like a half hour, and just go, and I'm like, man, I still feel really good. That's why I feel like if I went